Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Josh and I'm glad you're here. Today we're going to be working on clearing up some tree piles that are scattered around the yard here. In the last two videos we've been doing a ton of clearing, and now it's time to tidy everything up, bring all of the limbs and brush and slash up to the clearing here so we can burn it. We like to bring it all up to the clearing and burn it there just because it's a lot safer than burning it in place and scattered out throughout the property. That way it's just a little bit more tidy with not having ash piles everywhere. So we're just going to be using the backhoe with the clamshell bucket to do this. But I figured this is a great time to reintroduce ourselves to the new subscribers. I also want to summarize what we got done so far this summer. So it was mid-June at the time of recording, and since then we've done a whole bunch of work. I am way behind on my video editing, so that gives you guys a good sneak peek of all the upcoming projects that we've already finished. And yeah, it should be fun. So a little backstory on us. Emily and I are both engineers. She's a real engineer, actually a structural engineer, and I am a virtual construction engineer, which means that I build 3D grade control models for earth moving, for like roads and job sites and all sorts of stuff. So the first big project we did together after getting married was to do our school bus conversion. We took a 40-foot rear engine, flat fronted school bus and converted it into our tiny home. So it took us about 2 years to get that done while working full-time, and now yeah, we live in it full-time. We also spent about 2 years traveling. The big capstone to our traveling was going up to Alaska all of last summer. We got to experience so much while we were up there. We did a fly fishing trip and a whole bunch of other stuff. It was a blast. So as we were coming down from Alaska, we started looking at some properties on basically Zillow or the online apps for property search, because we figured we'd just swing through North Idaho on our way back to South Dakota, where we were based, and we'd just look at some properties. So while we were looking at properties up here, we found this one. It is 38 acres of just mountain pretty much raw land up in North Idaho. It is just beautiful. We love it. It has great access. It has great neighbors. We had a partially built pole barn on it, and there's a little cabin at the bottom that you guys haven't seen yet. And there's a whole bunch of potential here. There's also a year-round creek, so it was just perfect for us, and we love it here. So we saw the property, looked at it one day, and then put the offer in the next, and yeah, that was last year. So after closing on the property in October, we spent the whole winter traveling and planning basically for what we wanted to do when we got out here in March. And one of the big things that we needed to come up with is we needed to either rent or buy a piece of equipment to work the property when we got there, because there was a lot of grading we had to get done before we could get the bus up there. After talking with Caterpillar Rental and our local rental, it looked like it would be about $5,000 to rent a backhoe for just 1 month. And I knew that the springs up here are very wet, so I probably wouldn't get a full month's worth of work out of a month rental. So we decided to start looking for a backhoe. So after a week or so of getting back into town here, we found a backhoe, but it was all the way in Eugene, Oregon, which was, I think, a 10-hour drive for us. So I drove all the way out there to take a look at it, put an offer in on it. He accepted it. We had to drive back out there to pay for it and then load it up and ship it back to our place. Unfortunately, our semi-truck project, which I have in the works, isn't done and isn't in Idaho yet, so I couldn't basically go and pick it up myself. But yeah, we got the backhoe. It's a really nice 2005 Cat 430D IT backhoe. So has the quick couplers up front and on the back. Has a really nice bucket, some forks. It's just a excellent all-purpose, like kind of a multi-tool piece of equipment that we can use on the property. And as you can see in this video, it's pretty useful for picking up piles and doing all sorts of work around here. It's not the best piece of equipment. I used to actually be an operator for my uncle's earth moving business. I used to run basically everything: excavators, dozers, loaders, scrapers, haul trucks, semi-trucks, you name it, I probably run it. So I love equipment and it's one of my passions. So yeah, I love this backhoe, but it's not ideal for every situation. So after we got our backhoe, we started working on our first major project, which was the unfinished pole barn. The ceiling height in the building was 12 foot. Our bus is 12.7, and our backhoe is around 13 foot to the top of the stick. So neither of our big, tall items could fit in the shop. Also, our semi-truck is also, I think, around, could have just fit in. I think it's around 12 feet. But yeah, the shop wasn't going to work for us as it was built, so we had to raise it up. So we braced it up really strongly, and then cut the posts and lifted it up 2 feet 2 inches. And that allows us to have just over 14-foot ceilings, which we can get pretty much every heavy equipment that we'll probably ever get. We can get that in there. The bus will fit. Yeah, and just will work better for us as a shop. So while we're doing all this, I've been working the backhoe, and we had quite a few repairs that we had to get done on it. Some of the highlights are I broke the movable portion of the jaw on the front bucket off, so I had to re-weld that back on. We had to rebuild a hydraulic cylinder, and there's many more other things. The backhoe was kind of neglected when we got it, so I had to do a lot of catch-up maintenance. So many little projects with the backhoe. We also did a whole bunch of grading around the shop and along our driveway. So when we bought the property, there was room to get a Jeep or a pickup up into by the pole barn, but you couldn't get our big rigs like our bus up in there. So I've done a lot of grading and leveling and digging into the hill to the south of our shop here to give us some more space. Eventually I'm going to have our semi-truck up here and to be able to turn around big trailers and all that. So having the big open yard is pretty important to me. We also had to regrade our driveway because it was too narrow and too steep to get our low ground clearance rigs in. So my parents came out with their RV, so we had to grade so that they wouldn't drag or hit on anything. So it was quite a bit of work that we did at the end of the driveway also. So that's what you've seen so far this year. So between the recording of this video in mid-June to actually editing this video in late September, we've done so much out here that we haven't shown yet on the channel, but I'll give you guys some sneak peeks. The biggest project that we wanted to accomplish this summer was to get our electrical brought in from the power poles that are along our property line all the way up to our shop. So unfortunately that was 500 feet of conduit we had to trench in. So that was almost a month of work for us between clearing the easement for the power line to come in, trenching it in, installing the conduit, backfilling the trench, and then hooking up the panel and all that. It was a big project for us, and it took quite a bit of time to get that done. We also had what was going to be a small garden, but turned out to be 2 fairly decent-sized gardens up here this summer, and we are off-grid as far as water goes. We do not have a well, so we had to clear the old abandoned logging road. It's about a mile worth, all the way down to our creek, so that we could draw water with a pump and use IBC totes to bring it up to the top. So that was necessary to keep the garden going for the year, so it was really nice to get that project done. And you'll see more of this all later. Another product that you guys haven't seen yet is we have a salvaged telehandler that burned in a fire. We had to bring it from along the access road to our property down further to our property, and that was a little bit interesting. It's not all the way done at the time of editing here, but we're getting it closer. We're also been working really hard on enclosing that shop. Before we leave for the year, I want it to be fully sealed up so we can leave tools and supplies in here and not worry about them getting snow or damaged by critters and all that. So that's a work in progress that we're not quite done with yet. The last big project that we're doing this year, and probably the one that was most intimidating to me, is we are rebuilding the engine on our bus. It has served us well, but it started to get way too much blow-by, so smoke coming out of the crankcase instead of out of the exhaust, which means that the pistons or piston rings were failing, and it just needed to be done on our terms while we were here at home, instead of having to pay a shop to do it while we're on the road and not be able to live in our bus during that time. So Very intimidating. We ended up doing a in-frame rebuild on it, and like I said, I'm not done with it yet, but we're getting close, and I can't wait to share all these projects with you. So if you've been enjoying these projects or curious about the upcoming projects, I highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button. That way you don't miss any of our upcoming videos, and that way you can follow along with our adventures and our projects. I apologize how delayed my editing has been. We are working really hard to get established out here, and the editing has kind of been the bare minimum to get one video out a week. Hopefully I can get caught up over this winter and show you guys all these cool projects, and then be more timely about it next year. But anyhow, we have so much to get done, and I can't wait to share it all with you. We've been working very hard this summer. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below, and I will do my best to answer them. I try to answer every one of you guys' questions, or at least respond to it. So I'm looking forward to corresponding with you in the comment section down below. If you want to support Emily and I, the best way to do that is just to hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. It tells YouTube this content is worth sharing to other people, and hopefully they can find us entertaining as well. If you want to support us in a more direct way, the best way to do that is through YouTube channel memberships. I try to post these videos to our channel members a little early in the week if I can. So if you're interested in that, that is also an option for you. So I hope you guys found this video interesting. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Later.